Welcome to the Gigs Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Sanz, founder and CEO of Gigs, the professional career platform for the live event industry. On this podcast, we are interviewing the very best in the touring and live event industry to hear the good, the bad, the ugly, and the unreal moments of life gigging and lessons learned on the road. Today, I'm giving you 18 practical ways to break into the music and live event industry. This is the number one question I'm always asked. Oh, you just gotta meet the right people. That's just not good enough advice. We need strategies that we can actually use and put into practice. So here are 18 ways to get into the industry. So I can share a little bit about my story. To start, I moved to Nashville the day after I graduated college. I didn't know anyone here. I didn't know anyone in the industry, but I knew I wanted to work on the road and I wanted to get on a tour. So I worked any gig I could possibly get my hands on, whether that be at a recording studio, a sporting event, a corporate event, a venue, working any kind of musical performance, volunteering. I worked as often as I could and I made a lot of mistakes, but within 6 months, I managed to land my first gig touring with Eric Church. But even after you get that first big gig, you still got to get your next gig. It's not an easy path, but I've heard people in this industry say we don't do these jobs because we want to. We do them because we have to. It's in our blood. We couldn't see ourselves doing anything else. I want to bring more people into this industry and help navigate those first steps so you can find your right path and be welcomed into this wild and exciting industry. Without further ado, here are 18 ways to break into the live event and touring industry. Number 1, build your network. This industry is word of mouth. Every connection you make will lead you to that next gig. If you don't have a network, I promise you, you do. You have teachers, you have professors, you have family, you have adults that you've met in your life at some point that have a job. This does not have to be industry network to start with. When I was in college, I was a senior and I was about to move to Nashville. That was one of the first things I did was I just started a spreadsheet with every person I knew that had a job that I could maybe talk to. And this was people in the industry, in music, in live events, but this was also people, bankers, people in finance, different teachers, just anyone that could give me advice that I could seek mentorship with. So start there and call these people and they will introduce you to more people and you'll just be building up this network. Number 2, research and cold calling. When I moved to Nashville, that is all I did, was I was just on the internet looking up production companies, venues, event managers, anyone on LinkedIn, anyone on social media, and just reaching out and emailing and calling and seeing if anyone could help me, just give me a 15-minute phone call, if any shadowing experience. And I got lucky that an event manager at the arena here in Nashville, Bridgestone Arena, they agreed and come shadow me on the Kesha and Macklemore tour. I worked for free. I met incredible people. And actually the people that I met while working that gig are the people that helped me land my first tour. So first start with the cold calling and just researching anything in town for you to get someone on the phone. Number 3, volunteering, internships, and entry-level jobs. Look for volunteer opportunities at local festivals, concerts, events, and apply for internships at local production companies or promotion companies. There's so many things to do. Get that free education. Internships are so valuable. I had an unpaid internship in college, and so I worked at Chili's to support myself. That was not ideal. It was very long days and nights, but I gained the most incredible experience and amazing mentors that advised me to move to Nashville and really encouraged me in support of this career dream. Attend networking events. I didn't know anyone here, so I would go on Facebook groups, on Eventbrite, and find different places that they were hosting networking events, especially industry events. Showed up and was able to meet amazing people. Even if you meet one new person at a networking event, it's a success. Make sure to get their information, you add it to that spreadsheet that you're building, your network, you're growing it. And then you get coffee with them later, you have a phone call with them later. They're a part of your network now. Never say no to a networking event and really seek them out. Number 5, the 15-minute phone call. Instead of asking to grab coffee with somebody you just met or you were just introduced to, just ask for a 15-minute phone call. Guaranteed they can make that work. When they're between meetings, when they're driving somewhere, they can make 15-minute phone call work. They're so much easier to not respond to you if you ask for coffee and realize, I just don't have any time for that. But a 15-minute phone call, they can make work. 15 minutes isn't a long time, so use that time well. Be prepared. Really study them. Know what they've done. Have prepared questions for them. Usually a 15-minute phone call always turns into longer. So as long as you can just get them on the phone, they get a time in that week or the next week, you're golden. Number 6, and this was so important to me, and it still is to this day, always ask for introductions. Every person you meet, always follow up with them and say, hey, is there anyone you think would be really beneficial for me to talk to? Would you mind making that introduction for me? I just am really excited to learn more and meet new people. You usually will always get one introduction and sometimes 5 introductions. This was truly responsible for my network just growing like crazy. So I really recommend always asking for an introduction and then adding all those people to your spreadsheet. Again, expanding that network. If they don't respond, ask them one more time. If they still don't, move on. But really try, on the call, at the meeting, always ask for that intro. Number 7, stay top of mind. You have your list of contacts once a quarter, maybe twice a year. Send an update to this list of people and let them know, hey, I just got this job doing this, and I just went on this family vacation doing this, and hey, think of me when you're hiring for your next event. I'm free in August. Whatever it is, let people know. If your name is in their inbox, I guarantee they will think of you first when they hear of a new job that comes up. So this is really important. And this list of contacts isn't just the people you think you're going to get a job from. You never know who you're going to get a job from next. So little story, my first meeting when I moved to Nashville was with a banker here in town. I met with him at a coffee shop. He was wonderful. I just kept saying, I just want to get on a tour. I just want to get on a tour. How do I get on a tour? And he was like, you just got to know the right people. I don't know. I left that meeting when I was 22, just like, man, he's not going to help me at all. Like, that was such a waste of time. Whatever. I kept him updated. I stayed on top of his mind. I let him know when I got on the road. I let him know when I got off the road. And then I let him know when I started gigs. Ultimately, he became one of my first investors. So you really don't know how these contacts are going to come into your life, how you're going to benefit them, how they're going to benefit you. Just keep everyone up to date on your life. Personal relationships are the most important. Number 8, maintain a clean online presence. This is so important. Keep it professional. When I was staffing tours and events, and I have talked to so many employers, I promise you, we are always looking at your social media and all of them. We are checking you out. We're seeing what kind of person is this? Just keep it appropriate. I guarantee an employer is always checking out your social media before they hire you. Just know that. Another thing in this industry with social media, because no one told me, and now if you don't know this, I'm telling you right now, just be very careful with what you post in this industry. Backstage of the concert, who you're working for. One of my first shows I worked in Nashville, I was a production runner and they asked me to help decorate a dressing room for the lead artist. And I thought this was so cool. I got to help them. Everyone was gone. We finished. And so I took a picture. No one was in there. I took a picture and a video. I was really proud and I put it on my social media. I also put a picture of my credential on social media. Luckily, no one knew me at the time. No one was following me. I got away with it. I left, whatever. I'm the coolest person ever. I got to post this, whatever. The next day, I'm working this gig. I see someone do the same thing. They take a picture, they post it. Someone saw them do that and they got fired in front of me. And I had this if they saw me do this, if anyone saw, I had no idea. So I got to learn. I got super lucky, but don't be posting any picture of your credential because of security reasons. You don't want anyone seeing what that looks like, printing it out and pretending like they belong backstage too. Don't take a picture of anything backstage. And honestly, if you're just starting out in this industry, just don't have your phone out at all when you're working these gigs. Maybe during the show, if you get to watch the show, take a picture of the show, of the venue. But anything backstage, just be so careful and watch what you post online. Number 9, find mentors. The sooner you do this, the better. I should be able to ask you, who are your top 5 mentors in your life? And you should be able to come up with it right away. If you're not, you really need to start thinking about seeking mentorship and guidance and education through people who have been through it. And these can be people in the industry. These can be your family. They can be teachers. They can be people that you just really admire something small about them. My 5, Chris Bragg was my first industry mentor at the Greensboro Coliseum. I had an internship there working the concerts, which really got me wanting to work in this industry. And, he taught me everything about what it takes to really put a show on. The thing that I really take away from him as a mentor was the way that he treated people as we were walking around the arena. He knew everyone's names. He looked everyone in the eye. He really asked how everyone was doing. I will never forget that. And it's something that I always wanted to take into a part of me and my career. Yeah, Chris Bragg, thank you. Ashley Stokely here, giving me that chance here in Nashville. Something I loved about her though, even though she was so good at her job, she just made everyone laugh all the time. If you're working working 18-hour days, it can get exhausting and people can get into bad moods. But whatever room she walked into, she made that person laugh. And it was really cool to see. That was something else that I kind of took a hold of and I really admired about her. Tyler Kane, our producer here, worked at his recording studio. He taught me so much about studio production and live production, and he's a musician and so many things, but he has such an entrepreneurial spirit. I learned so much in marketing from him, and also just the value of long conversations and taking that time. Not everything is work. Stuart Burke, another mentor, he's incredible, tour manager. He takes the time to train. He spent so long really teaching me how to work master tour, how to, what are the best ways to organize all of these materials, the best ways to book hotels and flights. And he really spent time investing in his mentees, and I'm forever grateful for that. Lastly, Scott Welch. I have a million things to say about Scott Welch, but something I really admire about him is before going into business with anybody, get to know them personally. Before I hired an accountant, he said to take him to coffee and bagels and don't even talk about the company, just get to know him and his family. And now taking that with me in everything I do, business and personal too. So that was just a little side note, but anyone should be able to ask you, who are your top 5 mentors? And you should be able to pull them out and why, and what is that specific thing about that person that you want to model. Number 10, research local production companies and DMCs. Think anything, audio, lighting, video, rigging, anything in production. Even if you think that might not be your path for you, you'll never know unless you try. So you can offer to shadow, you can ask if there are any internships, if you can meet with anyone, if you can start working in the warehouse and understanding what it means to unpack a road case and pack it back up, and what is all this equipment and what does it take to put together a camera or a lighting console or whatever it is. That's a great place to start. Local production companies. A DMC is a destination management company. So big corporations come, they hire them to help plan their corporate events. I reached out to 10 or 12 of them here in Nashville, sent them my events resume. 3 of them got back to me and hired me as a field staff worker. Whenever they had an event in town, then they hired me, and it was a great one-off gig, or maybe it was 1 week long. This is anything where you're setting up, taking down, you're an artist liaison. I was on a pedal pub for one of them, a bike tour, working in any ballroom at the Country Music Hall of Fame, just anything. It exposes you to so many cool different events and also a lot of new people you can add to your network. Number 11, never say no to a gig. Don't ever think you are above a certain gig either. Take the gig. Always say yes to it. Whoever you meet at that gig is most likely going to get you the next gig and the next gig and the next gig. So just never say no. Each gig is a great opportunity. Also, if you're doing something you really don't want to do and it ends up being terrible, you learn that that's really not what you want to be doing anyways. So especially in this industry when there's so many different paths, it's so important to say yes to every single gig you can to really cross off the things you don't want to do too. And also, especially if you're in your early 20s, if you're in your 20s, 30s, and you're really just starting out in this industry too, say no to personal life things to take these gigs. One of my first weekends here, I had just made friends and they were going to the lake. I really wanted to go because I didn't know anyone here, but I said no to it because I had a gig. I was working for Journey and it was kind of a dream gig that ultimately ended up helping me get a job as a production runner for Live Nation. And then that got me way more gigs. So this is the time to be working hard and to be putting work first if this is the career that you really want to get into. Number 12, take every gig seriously, regardless of the role, regardless of the company, regardless of the time that you're spending doing it. Just take it all very seriously because again, whatever you're working, whoever you're meeting in this gig is going to get you the next one. One of my first jobs in Nashville was working at a recording studio and we had studio tours. So bringing people into the studio, giving them a tour, recording a song together, and it was pretty new. And so the producer there needed to get the word out. So I was passing out flyers on Broadway in August in the middle of the day on a Saturday. And it was awful, but gave me great experience. Number 1, I learned I don't really want to do that again. Number 2, I learned rejection and, I was also cold calling and getting out of your comfort zone. Studio tours ultimately grew to be extremely successful. And I got to be a part of that, especially at the beginning and, putting in those sweat hours. It was really rewarding to see it grow. And so again, never say no to a gig. Did I want to cold call and pass out flyers? Not necessarily, but it was so worth it. And it always is. Number 13, follow up after every gig. Just take a little bit of time and thoughtfulness to send an email, have a phone call, and really thank the person who hired you on the job. Call the people that you met and thank them for teaching you and working with you. It really doesn't take a lot to stand out in this industry. Just go that extra mile. Reaching out and thanking them again lets them be top of mind. And you can tell them, hey, by the way, I'm available in 2 weeks. If you have anything else, let me know. Always be appreciative, go that extra mile, and follow up. Number 14, be a sponge and and learn from mistakes. This is probably the number one piece of advice that everyone in this industry gives, that just be a sponge. And that means a lot of different things, absorb as much information as you can, learn from people, but it's also having that mindset of, I am here to learn from people. You get the gig, you show up on site, and then you start telling everyone, well, I've always done it this way, and I think we need to do it this way, and this is how we got to do it. Do not do that. If you want to make friends, don't be that way. We've all met people who do that. I've probably done that as well. And just try to be in the mindset of absorbing the environment around you, the culture of the organization you just stepped into, and how do people do it? Offer some feedback and leadership in ways that you think that things should be done. But don't be coming in saying, on this tour that we worked, actually, we did it this way, and I don't know why you guys do it this way. No, we don't need that. Secondly, you are going to make mistakes. Just get used to it. You're going to make so many mistakes. And luckily, since we've all made so many mistakes, we all know that's going to happen, especially if you're just starting out. The biggest advice I can give is to own up to the mistake, apologize, try to make it right, and move on. That's it. One of the most important parts of it is just moving on. The amount of times I apologized over and over and over and I kept bringing it up, it just, everyone else has moved on, so you better move on. But always take ownership and acknowledge when you did make a mistake, apologize, move on from it. Number 15, you are your own business. As a freelancer, whatever you are putting into your career is exactly what's going to come out of it. I felt that to my bones. The more I was networking, the more I was reaching out to people, the more I was showing up early, leaving late, the more gigs I would get. It really, whatever you are putting into it, if you go take a vacation, if you take a break, if you're not putting as much into it, you're going to feel it that next week or those next 2 weeks that you're not getting as much work. So just be mindful that you are responsible for what's coming next and put as much time and effort into it. Also be mindful about how you're managing your finances. 1 month you might make a lot. The next month you might not make as much. For a while I was like, I knew what my week looked like and I did not know what my next week looked like or the next week. So plan ahead. Whatever you're making, make sure you're saving it properly and planning for that month where you're not getting as much work. Also recognize if you're a 1099 worker, the money that you're getting is not all yours. I think I had 10 1099s in 2019 alone. When tax season came around, I owed a lot of money to the government and I didn't really realize that. So be mindful if you're a 1099 employee and plan ahead, save. Just be mindful. You are your own business. Number 16, celebrate others' successes. Someone else gets a job that you really wanted, or a peer or whatever it is, they get a job and you're just feeling like, man, I really wish that I had gotten that. And any jealousy comes up, just change it with celebrating their success. Their success is also your success. You know that person. Everyone rises together. When I was just starting out and I was working these lower jobs just to kind of get in and meet the right people, and I wasn't necessarily where I wanted to be at. I wasn't necessarily in the job or the position I wanted yet. And one of my friends who started a little bit after me got the job that I really wanted. And I immediately was like, dang, I wish I had that, whatever. Quickly, I realized, hold up, I would not have ever even wanted that job. That job was perfect for her, and she has made an incredible career from it. Whatever was coming to me was exactly right for me. So just stay in your lane and celebrate other people, especially in this industry. We are all one. We all rise together. Number 17, when one door closes, another door opens. Trust what is meant for you. When I decided to get off the road, I was applying to this job that I really wanted. I really wanted this job, and it was all I could think about. And when I ultimately didn't get it, I was devastated. I thought that was the next way. I thought that was my next move. What was I going to do? And so when I was trying to figure out my next move, I started just part-time freelancing, working for a tour manager. I was helping him book travel, advance shows, and I was also helping him staff other tours. In doing that, I recognized a huge gap in this industry, that we don't have a professional network where the best touring, live event professionals and companies can come together, post jobs, apply to jobs, network, connect. And this gave me the idea for gigs. So if I had gotten that job, I might not have ever thought about this idea to start a company, which leads me to the last point. Number 18, join gigs. Gigs is the professional network for the live event industry. To get started, go to www.gigs.live and sign up as a professional, or if you have jobs to post, sign up as an employer. As a professional, go in, create your profile, build out any experience you could think of, any volunteer opportunity you got, any internship, anything in school you might have worked. Put all of that experience on there. And this is your first start. This is your first chance to start networking and applying to jobs and seeing what's out there. I hope this was helpful. These were strategies that helped me, helped other industry professionals I've talked to, practical ways to really get started and break into the live event, touring, and music industry. Please join gigs. Reach out to us with any questions questions. We're happy to look over any of your resumes, review your gigs profile, answer any questions you have. We really just want to make it easy for you guys to get started in this industry. Again, email us info@gigs.live. Follow us on social media, gigs.live. We can't wait to help you land your next gig.